I just like got really mad and I broke down crying and just was slightly inconsolable because there were also things that were, a marriage doesn't just like end, and an almost decade relationship doesn't just end. But I think it was the point where I realized we have very different ideas of what a marriage should look like, and also just we have different things that we want from life.
Are you tired of the mental chatter? The counting, the restricting, the punishing? Are you done standing in front of the mirror picking yourself apart? Done waiting until you're thinner or more motivated or finally feel ready before you start actually living your life? Good, because confidence isn't something you earn, it's something you decide. Welcome to Your Unapologetic Life, your go-to podcast for women who are ready to stop shrinking and start showing up fully in the body they have right now. I'm your host, Morgan Barkis, author, speaker, exotic dance instructor, and empowerment coach for women. I earned my master's degree in marriage and family therapy while stripping to pay for graduate school. And I enjoyed the work so much, I ended up dancing for over a decade. Now I coach women who are ready to flip the negative self-talk, rewrite the stories that have kept them playing small, and feel powerful and confident in their bodies without the strict diets, soul-crushing workouts, and another quick fix that never really actually works. This is not positive affirmation confidence. This is confidence embodied. Every episode is designed to help you ditch the insecurities, reclaim your body, and live like the unapologetic woman you were always meant to be. Whether I'm flying solo or bringing you a raw, unfiltered conversation with remarkable women, this is your space to be honest, to get free, and get loud. Turn up the volume, listen at 1.5 speed while you're doing other things, and strap in because I'm a crazy driver. Let's get into this episode.
The first thing I like to do is orient people. And I think this comes from the fact that I'm from a small town in Wisconsin and all I wanted to do was travel. And I did a lot of moving around and some travel. And my 2026 intention was to travel at least twice per year abroad starting this year. So I already have my Morocco and my Paris trip booked for this year. So anyway, geographically, I like to know, where are you from and where are you living now?
Yeah. Oh my God. First off, Paris is like one of my favorite cities, and I really want to go there this year too. I haven't been in like a couple of years. So anyway.
You've been? I'm going by myself, so I'm nervous about like catching the train and not knowing French, but I feel like I'll figure it out. So
no, I think you'll like, based on what I know of you, I think you'll love it. And it's so walkable. Like, even if you have to walk for an hour, I don't know that I've ever ridden the train in Paris because I just walked like hours.
Okay.
And you can stop and get wine.
Yeah, that's how I feel about when I was in New York. I've only been like maybe 3 or 4 times, and I just walk. And you don't feel like you're walking that far, like because it's so fun.
Yeah.
Okay.
But
anyway, let's geographically orient you.
Yeah, I'm in Raleigh, North Carolina. So,
hence the accent. Okay.
Yep. Hence the accent. I'm from North Carolina. I'm from about an hour and a half east of here, but I left. So I'm 30 now, but I left here when I was 18 and I moved back about a year and a half ago, but I never lost the accent.
I love that for you.
Yeah.
If you know of the Wisconsin accent, and particularly the small town I'm from, when I go home, sometimes I'm like, oh my goodness. And I am so glad that it once in a while comes out, but for the most part, it's gone because I've moved so much. So
yeah.
I hear my brother talk sometimes, and born and raised his beautiful children. He's got his family there. And sometimes when he talks, I'm like, you are so Wisconsin. It's just like, if we had to shoot a video, that you would be the example of what Wisconsin people sound like. So
where are you now?
I currently live in the suburbs of Chicago. So I'm just 20 miles west of the city proper.
Okay, cool.
All right. So you and I met in our mastermind, and I want to ask how you got to know Chris and Lori harder, because I've been knowing them. I mean, I'm from the Midwest as well. And then I found out about them when I was living in Minneapolis, and they were living in Minneapolis. So I knew them like sort of, and we were kind of in the same circles, but not really. And then they moved out to LA and I followed. I moved to Miami in 2013 and it was like bucket list to get into this mastermind. And I was like,
Yeah.
someday. And then it happened this year. So I was thrilled about it. So anyway, tell me about how you got into Chris and Lori's world and how you ended up in this mastermind that we're in together.
I kind of similar as far as following them for a while, because I lived in Los Angeles. I lived in Burbank for about 7 years. And so I can't remember. I think, yeah, actually, I went to a Create and Cultivate conference, which is Jacqueline Johnson. She's the founder of it, but I know that she's in the same world as Lori, but I don't know. I don't know exactly how I found them, but I've always loved Lori's podcast specifically. I listen to Earn Your Happy like at least once a week. I mean, I love both of them, but that's been like a core reason why I ended up wanting to be in the mastermind.
You remember when she used to have her personal assistant on with her and they would once in a while, they would like once a week do episodes together? Do you remember? Oh my goodness. For when I lived in Florida, so it must have been around 2000 and God, I don't even know, maybe 16. But
Okay.
and then she was no longer assistant, moved on and got married and moved and all the things. So and that kind of that those two doing that podcast together, I think kind of ran its course. Funny though, because they were friends and they would just talk about the most random things. And it was funny because she was so shy and Lori is not. And so they would like play off. And it was just delightful. Sometimes when I felt lonely, I would listen to those episodes over and over because it made me feel like I had friends.
Yeah. Well, I just love her podcast too, because I mean, so I guess I've probably been following them since I moved to LA, like probably between 2018 and 2020.
Okay.
And like I would take their master classes. Like I went to a lot of master classes that like webinar kind of things that Chris did. And I had a business before this and didn't end up like following through with that. I was like, I fell out of love with it. And then I was working full time for a small business and I was like, this is what I actually like. And so, yeah, I've been the same way though. I've always wanted to do one of their things, but honestly been kind of intimidated. And so I was like, get over it. And so I joined in November.
I love that. When he first started it, you had to be making at least, I forgot how much it was, and I just wasn't there. And I was like, I'm starting from zero. I don't know anything about anything. And so I couldn't meet that threshold. So I followed other things and like Marie Forleo and Gina DeVee. There were some other people besides Chris and Lori that I followed. And, but anyway, so when they changed it, it could be zero to the $500,000. I'm like, yay, I'm in. So I signed up for the wait list because I was like, I don't even know if I'm going to get picked, but I'm going to go ahead and get on this wait list.
Yes, me too.
You and I are not going to talk about business on this episode. And I do want upfront folks to know what you do. And if they are like, I'm really liking this, Sarah Walker, where would they find it? Your preferred place to find you and something that you could explain, like they like you and they also want to work with you.
Yeah, I mostly live on Instagram. That's where I'm like daily. I post on there.
Your Instagram PS is fantastic. I love the vibe. It's fun. It's like flirty without being flirty. It's like the reds, the flowers, the champagne, your cute outfits. I'm like, who is this woman's photographer? And I like that there's like curated and uncurated content. Like you could clearly tell you were at a photo shoot, and then other times you're like in your car, no makeup. I was like, this girl. So anyway,
thank you. Yeah, I mean, I've definitely been trying, like I've been trying to be present and for people to remember me and to know that I'm alive and in business. That's like my biggest thing. Like I don't want to go viral necessarily. Like not that I don't, but it's
your
more
personality. Like your glowiness and your fun attitude comes out of your. I feel like I was like, I'm gonna vibe with this girl because her energy is like champagne bubbles.
That's how I feel about you. Yeah. So yeah, Instagram is a big place to connect with me daily, and I help small business owners do the shit they don't want to do. And I finally got to that very over time. I've gone to a lot of networking stuff and a lot of things. And what I do is kind of hard to explain, but I'm essentially a partner to CEOs with their operations and their recruitment. So typically people hire me when they're starting to feel kind of underwater and they're like, I don't know the first person to hire. I don't know what to do. I don't even know if I hired someone, what they would do. And so I come in, look at everything, start to work on missing pieces of their daily flow and operations. And then in that, I build out job descriptions and recruit typically their first team members. Like I'm normally hiring someone's first employee. So it's a cool thing. And I mean, it's kind of like a little bit of matchmaking there. So sometimes it's really great and you find an amazing hire and it changes the person's business and it's awesome. And so, yeah, that's what I do every day.
The name, the name is great too. So tell me where the wolf consulting came from, because I have an idea, but I'll let you explain why the wolf.
Well, it's funny because I named my business just like with my friends one night but I moved to Raleigh and Wolf, like the Wolf Pack is a big NC State is in Raleigh, North Carolina. But it actually comes from Pulp Fiction. There's a character called the Wolf and I haven't seen Pulp Fiction in a while, but basically they like clean up all the shit and like so that's where it came from of cleaning up the mess and making it new. So that's where the name came from.
Okay, that is phenomenal. Love it, love it, love it. And they're pretty badass animals. They're amazing.
Yes.
They are beautiful creatures. We are going to completely shift gears. As you know, I am an empowerment coach for women. So I work with women that want to love how they look. No diets, no fillers, no fixes. So that's that. I went through my own journey with that. And as I'm aging, first it was like body image issues, can't be skinny enough. Now it's aging stuff and just really locking into my confidence. And I have a degree in therapy. So I go right in. So I would like for you to take me to a place, because I know where mine is. College dorm room. It was a cold floor. Anyway, where you're curled up crying, going, I don't know if I want to keep going. Take me to one of those places in your life.
Ooh. That's a great question. I'm like, let me picture it.
Well, and there's probably more than one. I mean, you think I have a phoenix tattooed on my back because more than once in our life, something tears us down to a place where like, wow, I'm like almost burnt to the ground here.
Yeah.
And you can either choose to let it destroy you or you figure out how to put the pieces back together. You get a therapist, you read the books, you start journaling, you start working out again. Like you start to put the pieces back and rise again, brighter and stronger than you were before.
Yeah.
And there are some of those pivotal moments where it really changes you and you learn to be brighter and stronger than you were before.
Okay. I'm thinking of two specific ones, but I'm trying to pick the one that I think would work best for your purpose.
You can just take us down the road. I might end up at the other one. You never know. So you jump in where you
the biggest one, because like, and this is an explicit podcast.
I love it.
Right? Okay.
Yes, we talk about sex. We
okay,
swear. You can talk about anything.
Yeah. So the one that really comes to mind is my ex-husband and I were in an open marriage and he had never really done anything like explore that at all, but he was 10 years older than me. And so he was like, he just always said, I want you to be able to, you're young. I want you to be able to continue to connect with people if you want to and all that kind of stuff. So nothing ever really happened up until like the end of our marriage when I was like, actually, I'm not as happy. And I would like go to bars and sit at bars alone and meet people and stuff. And I do remember I connected with my now boyfriend and the reason I moved back to North Carolina. And I was visiting him. And this was like all known by my husband that I was visiting him and stuff. And I remember my husband had started dating somebody and they had sex for the first time. And I remember because I had never experienced the other side of it. And I really thought that because of his openness, I thought that I would have the same response to it happening. And I just remember just being devastated. And I was visiting my boyfriend at the time. So it's kind of this ironic thing, but I just remember the rest of it, like I was like trying to get drunk the rest of the night and just like trying to like not feel because it was so overwhelming to think about my husband being with someone else. But I think that's when I realized that wasn't the relationship that I wanted, the whatever like format maybe is the word. But the
Yeah.
structure of relationship that I wanted. And I also just realized that, yeah, I'm not like naturally an open person with the people that I am intimate with. And I think my husband naturally is. And I want
Are
that
you
for him.
open sexually?
Yeah. Well, yeah, like as far as like, I don't want my person to be sleeping with other people.
I
Like,
completely understand. I am very territorial. When I was a little
yeah.
girl, my parents volunteered to go on a school chaperone trip, whatever. I don't remember even what grade I was in. And this little girl came over and she's like, Mrs. Barkis, look at this. And Mr. Barkis, how about that? And I remember thinking, bitch, these are my parents. Like, I don't know why you are all up in my parents' like, and even my parents, like, and I sometimes I can get very territorial with some of my relationships, and I don't know why, but that's just me. I
Yeah.
get that. I could never share a partner. And I told one of my best friends, I was like, I don't necessarily feel this way anymore, but I used to be like, it would be great if I could find a guy that was like a cuckold and I could sleep with anybody I want. So I wouldn't have to be faithful, but he could never sleep with anybody else. But I'm like, that's not very fair, you know?
Yeah.
So, there are relationships that do that. But anyway, going back to when he told you, like, did you find out? Did he sit you down and go, Sarah, so just wanted to let you know, like, how did you find out? And then what was the initial reaction? Did you want to like slap him? Did you start crying? Like, what happened?
Yeah. Yeah. I was mad, even though it was allowed and it was fine, but it wasn't in person because I was in North Carolina and he was in LA.
Mm.
And I was visiting my boyfriend. I just like got really mad and I broke down crying and just was slightly inconsolable because there were also things that were, a marriage doesn't just like end, and an almost decade relationship doesn't just end. But I think it was the point where I realized we have very different
Ideas of what a marriage should look like.
ideas of what a marriage should look like, and also just we have different things that we want from life. A big reason I always wanted to leave LA, like after a certain point when the shine wore off and I was getting a little bit older. And I
Yeah.
know like late 20s, but still, like my early 20s, it was just really fun. And then my later 20s, I was just thinking, my family lives across the country. We have no money. We live in this shitty apartment with nasty carpet with toenails in it. And we're paying so much money to live here and not have a life that's full. And my quality of life there, I do think it's possible to have a good quality of life in LA, but the income level that we were at and being married to an actor, no. Like, unless your actor is working, you are not having money.
Well, I was going to ask because this is a feeling that I would have felt if, like, you're like, okay, we're going to be in an open marriage, and husband wasn't participating and just letting me. Interesting, and okay, nothing is like threatening me. But then, as soon as he finds someone else and finds her attractive and wants to be with her, because I tell people, like, especially men, I was like, I would argue there are a lot more beautiful women in the world than men.
Same.
There's just a lot of gorgeous women, and we take
Yeah.
care of ourselves, and there's a level of, like, we're trying to get educated, we're trying to be fashionable, we're trying to be cute, smart, whatever. We're very
Mhm.
sociable, we got a lot of great friends, we're good at a lot of stuff, so there's a lot of attractive women in the world. So I tell guys, don't forget to tell your girl, I don't think it, even if it's every day, she won't get sick of hearing why you choose her
Mm.
every day. Because if you're out in the world and you're traveling for work or just going to work, and you choose not to go with anybody else, Tell me, I'm never going to get sick of hearing why you choose me every day. What do you want?
Yes.
So as soon as my husband would have picked someone else, I would have been instantly, it would have hurt me and my I'd have felt really insecure and like not good enough. And like you said, desiring someone else means he doesn't only desire me. And I want to feel like I'm the only girl in the world. I know there are a lot of beautiful women in the world that you could choose from. I need to know you're always choosing me every day and only me. Does that make
Right.
sense? So did
Yeah,
any of those feelings come up?
totally. Yeah. I mean, all of that. And yeah, I mean, I, I'm trying to really put words to it because I like, that's one of the first thoughts that came to mind when you said, when's a moment you were like curled up on the floor, because I just remember feeling that way. And I think it was also just this understanding that he was moving forward with life without me.
Mm.
And I was moving forward with life without him. I don't
Mm.
think I mean, I definitely have those comparison. Like, I'm human for sure, but I don't know that I've really felt super down on myself or the way I look or the way I don't know. Actually, it's kind of hard for me to see content sometimes of people talking about like how much they hate themselves and stuff.
Breaks my
Not
heart.
like they're talking about the other side of it, and they're like, I just want to remind you that I don't always love my body, but I am still trying and all this stuff. And I'm like, I try not to think about it. Like, I don't want my thoughts to be about the way I look all the time and the way that people are perceiving me. And also, I do understand, like, yesterday I had my hair like blown out and I had like makeup, like eyeliner, like all the things. And I was treated way better. It was so wild. I was like,
What do you mean? Like, give me an example.
well, I went and got my oil changed, and like, you would have thought that I was like the sexiest thing that ever lived. Like, I was living my best life there. I was like, this is what I needed. Like, everyone's paying attention to me, everyone was talking to me. I was like, hey. But so I do like those things, and I understand that I don't know, I understand, but I don't want my life to be filled with thoughts about how I look and how other people are perceiving me and attaching worth to weight. And I just really have never thought about it that much. And that's probably a really good point to I remember writing in a journal once that my mom never taught me like that I needed to be beautiful kind of thing. It was more
That's what
about
I was going to ask you. I was like, where did this come from? Because
I don't
good for
know.
you. I mean, I was going to say, were you always like this? Because I mean, I'm a teenager of the '90s, so it was 17
Mhm.
magazine, and my favorite movie was Meet Joe Black, and the main character or the female character was extremely skinny, and it
Mm,
was like, well, I want to look like that, you know, and even my mom, very tall and lean, long legs for days, and I'm over here 5'3" with an inseam of 25 inches. Like I am a shorty, short. So I was like, why am I not tall and skinny? And so I hated myself. Thank God I didn't have social media for
mm,
years until I started stripping. And then I was around all these beautiful women that were sexy, fun, confident, making money, desirable. And they were all ages, sizes, all the things. And I was like, huh, so I was told a lie. You know, like,
mm.
so anyway, that completely changed my dynamic. So I'm wondering,
Yeah.
like, I feel like just like trauma and things like it's kind of passed on through the ages. So, because I mean, even my paternal grandmother we'd see someone walk by and she's like, Morgan, I'm not as fat as that lady, am I? And I'm like, a kid.
Mhm.
And I'm like, I don't know, grandma, no. You know, what am I supposed to say? Yeah, you are. Like, you're my
Right.
grandma, you know? So anyway, I just say that because it was always kind of, there was some messaging long before social media and all that. I don't think that's to only blame, you know, there's,
Sure.
so anyway, I'm just wondering, like, how did you bypass that? How did you? I don't. Well, I mean, you escaped.
I mean, well, it does. It also helps that I was always like incredibly thin, no matter, like, I now am at probably the biggest that I've ever been. I don't know. I don't weigh myself. I don't know. I just, there's something about it that like I can't even allow into my brain to care about. But I do think that my mom, she just, I, I mean, not that I would say my mom is like a body confidence advocate or anything, but I just remember her because I was an actor too. Like my degree is in musical theater, so that
No
world,
wonder
oh
you're so fun.
yeah. Hey, but yeah, the musical theater world. I mean, God, like the typecasting and all that. But I was like, I mean, I had abs up until like 5 years ago. Okay, everybody, like,
Honestly, I thought you were gonna say an ass. I was so when you said abs, I'm like, oh, I thought you were gonna be like, girl, I had an ass. I
no,
thought that's
now I have an ass. But like my body is just so different. But I also understand that's the thing is like we're supposed to get curvier. Like we're literally built to like bear children.
well,
Like,
it's Sarah. I part of my work with women is like it's coaching is different than therapy, right? There's you run therapy differently than coaching, and for me, I could really dig in with girls and like look at pictures, change perspectives, and I it's like you see this girl that's almost emaciated. When I was that thin, people asked my brother if I was terminally ill.
uh-huh.
Girls were asking me how I was so skinny. They're like, "What are
Mm,
you doing? Like, you look great." Blah 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 blah. Guys were asking if I was terminally ill.
right.
And I saw a post recently, and it was this curvy girl, and she was at this pole dancing studio. She was wearing this cute, like mint green bikini set thingy, and she was doing, something on the pole. This girl was thick, and I thought, God damn, like she is sexy
Yeah.
because of these curves and the way that her body was and how like the curves changed as she moved her, and I thought that's sexy. A
Hmm.
skeleton not as sexy. Like it can be, but not when you're doing it because it's unhealthy. Like I have a girlfriend of mine, she's like, don't get me like I used to dance with a girl on a dance team and she had a disease where no matter how much she ate, she couldn't pick up weight. That's
Yeah.
different. But if
Right.
you're starving yourself because you think you should be skeletal, there now we have a problem. Who says you should be skeletal? Who says that's sexier?
Uh-huh.
I don't know that I've met many men that are like, I love a
Very,
skeletal.
very skinny. Yeah. Well, and to like the reason I brought up the theater thing too is because I remember very distinctly being in this acting class with this woman who was often hired to be nude in scenes, like she was the sexy girl in scenes, and she
Okay.
hated it. She was always talking about how much she was like, I wish, because she was an excellent actor. And so she would often be put in these roles that were more about how she looked or whatever. And she was like, I really just want a role where I get to be a person. And that is, I think, probably like, as I mean, I've never really thought fully about this, but I think another thing about it is that I have two older sisters. And
Mm.
so I have been able to see women, whether they treat themselves well or whether they treat themselves poorly. And I've seen how that affects them. I see how it riddles people's brains all the time. And I'm like, no, thanks. And also,
Hmm.
it does help to your point about bringing up like your man or whoever you're with talking about you and reminding you that they're with you because of X reason. My man now, like literally every day, he like slaps my ass or like calls me sexy, and I was like, I don't think I recognized that I didn't have this before, that I didn't have this like daily recognition of, and I've been different sizes with him, So it's been when I first moved to Raleigh, I was a lot bigger because I was really sad and not really taking care of myself, and I like could barely get out of bed some days. And now I go to the gym 3 to 4 times a week, and I go to yoga 2 to 3 times a week. So like I stay moving. So for me, it's always been more about how I feel over how I look. And I just think it's a great it's a great result of going to the gym that I feel more snatched and like, wow, like I fit in these pants better. It's a great feeling, but I bought a bunch of bigger clothes cuz I was like, I'm not about to fit in these tiny clothes that I used to be able to wear cuz I got hips now.
and feel, and feel bad because you can't. It could because
Mhm.
and isn't that the art of a woman's body? Like I used to be like annoyed and my day ruined because during PMS I couldn't get enough carbs
Mhm.
and my stomach was a little thicker and my ass seemed jigglier or something. Like, how do I pick like 5 pounds just from PMS? But you do, and so and
Yeah.
like sometimes you go through depression and you eat too much and you pick up some weight. Oh my god, back in my 20s I picked up weight and it was 100% chunky monkey from Ben and Jerry's.
Yes, chunky monkey.
Girl, I was a chunky monkey. I was born in the year, I was born in the year of the monkey, and I was eating chunky monkey like it was my goddamn job every day. And I was miserable. So like now when people ask me, like, what do you do for workouts? Or what do you eat? You know, are you counting macro? I'm like, fuck no. Like I counted calories for years and I was always regulating what I was eating. Now I'm like, I tell people straight up, I eat whatever the fuck I want.
Mhm.
And when I make those choices, I know how I want to feel, like you said. Yeah, sometimes I'm like, God, I would love a pint of ice cream right now. And I know I'll get bubble guts and I will not sleep good and I'm not going to feel good the next day and I'll feel like a sausage in my yoga pants at the workout at the purple place when I go work out. I don't want to feel like that, so I'm making a different choice. You know what I mean? Right? Don't you like? Haven't you ever put on your yoga pants and you're like, I feel like a sausage in here, like I'm about to explode out of my casing.
Yes. Yes.
I did a reel not too long ago. Well, it must have been last month because I'm PMSing now. But anyway, I was feeling real bloated. I was like, everything feels tight, and so I did my yoga in my apartment, and I just took everything off and did my yoga.
No. That's a good
I'm
idea.
gonna do naked yoga because everything feels too tight, and I don't want to feel tight.
Mhm.
But again, going back to your body, as a woman, it changes. It changes if you have a baby. It changes if you go through a health something or other. It changes if you go through a depression session. I mean, it ebbs and it flows, and it's okay. I think where so many women berate themselves for the fluctuations, and I'm like, this is being a woman. Like we're
Well,
just
and part of what I mean, I talk about this with my therapist all the time. Part of why I think I just don't want to waste time thinking about what my body looks like is because all of that shit was built in the patriarchy. So I'm like, how are you a woman who says that you're a feminist and you're standing up for women and like you go to all these women empowerment events, but you hate yourself? Like, part of the work is learning to love yourself and whatever you got to do, whatever you got to shut out, you got to figure that out because that's part of the revolution. And I truly believe that. Like if you walk, it is a practice. I'm sure that most people look in the mirror in the morning and they're not like, damn, this is great.
I woke
But
up this morning. I was like, bags, red eyes. I'm like, woo, a little rough this morning.
yeah, but I do think it is a practice, and that is part of being a feminist and being for women and advocating for women is loving yourself. And that's part of what we can contribute to each other. Of like, I get this a lot too of like people feel like they can be themselves with me. And I think it's because I am always myself. I
Mm.
rarely show up somewhere not being me. And I don't think a lot of people can say that. So I think if people leaned in more to who they are, whatever that is, hopefully you're a good person if you're leaning into it. But you know what I mean? Like it's this whole thing of showing up in spaces and being who you are, where you are. And even if it's like, yeah, today I'm just not feeling great about myself. And that's what it is, that can be that. Like that, I think that that's part of being a feminist.
And I think it's having good girlfriends to call on when you're not feeling your best. You can send
Yeah.
them a voice note. Having a coach. I mean, if you're trying to have a business that's more successful, you get a coach. If you're trying to get your physical fitness, you get somebody who's where you want to be. You like have somebody there that's like cheering you on and holding you accountable. And like you said, the practice every day. I mean, for me, the negative self chatter was unreal. And then it was every day practicing. And then pretty soon it just wasn't there anymore. I was like,
Yep.
this is amazing. So it is a practice every day. And sometimes you fall down and you're like, I feel like a loser today. But you
Yep.
don't define yourself by that. It's like you're having a moment, but you know how to bounce back or who to call if you need something.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think something that helped me too was I used to just go to the gym and do like my own workout or whatever. And I joined a gym that feels like PE class. And I think if you can find something, because ultimately, if you're not moving, I don't think you're going to be happy with the way you look or your body in general, because we are meant to move around and we are meant to, even if you're not lifting literal weights, you are meant to be lifting something. You're meant to be active and in motion. And so I think finding something that makes you happy while you do it is really important. And so I found that for me, and I found community in both of the places. And I also found when I work out, because we get all those, you probably know better than me, of like the
Happy hormones?
actual,
Yeah.
yeah, the happy hormones. Like when I woke up this morning, I was like, fuck this. But then after my workout, I was like, I am living my best life. But I wouldn't have gone if they weren't going to charge me that $10 late cancellation fee.
Oh, good for you. Yeah, Arnold Schwarzenegger is one of my like heroes. I love this dude. And he in a video once said that he rides his bike to where he works out every single day. And he said, to the gym, it's like a black and white movie. When I bike back from the gym, it's all in color. Like,
Yes, I love that.
yeah. So that's why he's still working out every day. And I don't, there's times, because I used to be really strict about working out. It was like eating a certain way, working out a certain way for a certain amount of time. It was very like regimented. And now I'm like, you know what I feel like? A 10-minute walk. That is all that I have in me today. And just moving my body. It was like, I worked out today. So I've changed the goalpost. It doesn't have to be so strict.
Mm-hmm.
It can just be move your body, or like yoga. I mean, if you don't, especially again, as the women cycle through different weeks of the month, there is the week before your period. You're not meant to be throwing around weights and doing a CrossFit competition. Like that's
Uh-huh.
not the best time for your body. Like
Yep.
so you got to trust your body rather than force through it because you're punishing yourself or you're forcing yourself or yeah, it's not good for you. So
Yeah.
I'm glad you found a movement that you like. Yeah, some people. Oh, I took a Zumba class once years ago, and I usually out of because I was a fitness instructor for many years, dance instructor. So I
Okay.
was tried to be respectful, and I was like, okay, can I make it to this class? And then we were dancing, and I danced right out of the door because I was like,
Yep.
there's certain things like I can roll with, but spin was I stayed, but spin was not for me. I can't sit still on a bike the whole time. I don't care if we're getting out of our seat or not. I can't be in the same place for an hour.
Yeah.
And Zumba, it just wasn't for me.
Yeah, I'm the same about spin because I don't like being like locked in
Yeah.
to I'm like, what if I can't get my shoe? I guess yeah, I could pull my foot out of the shoe, but a lot of those spin classes, you're like right beside each other. It's dark and they're yelling. And I'm like, "Ah." So yeah, I'm the same way about spin.
I
Zumba,
don't love
I haven't taken that in a long time.
it. Mine was a one and done. Now your current boyfriend, is this the same gentleman that you visited from LA,
Yeah.
right?
Uh-huh.
And coming out of what happened with the ex, what did you shift in your mindset or what like you I don't want to say laid down the law, but like with your current partner, you're like, look, so my last one didn't go the way I wanted. So moving forward, here's are some of my non-negotiables, or here what's my dream relationship looks like. Did it change how you moved into this next relationship?
Yeah, a lot is different now. And I honestly think a lot of it came from him because I am a very type A person, and I'm like, if no one else has an opinion, I will have an opinion, you know? And so, like, if no one ever cares what's going to happen, then I naturally get in the driver's seat.
Good for you. Yeah.
And
Well,
I,
that's leadership.
what?
I said that's leadership.
Right? But I do think that Houston has taught me a lot about having your own thing in a relationship. And I feel like this is obvious, but I also know that it's very common for partnerships to become heavily, I mean, codependent is literally a word. So, codependent, and to only hang out like most of the time in their partnerships, like, oh, we're going to go on a date together, or we're going to go do this activity together with our friends or whatever. And Houston, because he had already lived here before I did, he already had his routines. He had his friends. He had all his stuff. And one of my biggest things when I moved here was I'm going to find a community, and I'm going to have a good community, and I'm going to nurture them. And so we did. And there are a lot of things that we do that are separate and completely different from each other. And of course, we have our things that we do together, we live together, but we each have our own identity outside of each other, where if Houston left right now and I never saw him again, I would still maintain a very large portion of my happiness. And I think that's something, because my husband and I had moved to LA together, and we were so, and granted, we were there through 2020, but it, we were so codependent. No one knew one of us without the other, which was such a beautiful love story. And we were very in love, but it led to us not having our own things. It led to resentment when I had my own thing. I felt like I should always invite him, or, you know, whatever. And just in general, it just was kind of, I don't know, like that he never had his own stuff outside of me. And so I think that's one of the biggest things that has been different since being here, is having my whole thing.
Yeah. Now, you two practicing open relationship, or
No,
you're like,
and we're not doing that.
yeah, you know, it works with some. I back in the day, when I was a dancer, I also taught exotic dance and fitness at a studio.
Oh, cool.
I would meet a lot of women that would come to my pole dance classes or my exotic dance workshops or lap dance workshops, and hilarious. So one night I'm working at the strip club, and I'm on, like, they had the main stage, and then they had some of the like off stages, like in the VIP area, whatever. And I was up in the VIP on this little stage just dancing. And this guy starts, so he comes to, and he's tipping me. And he goes, "You're my wife's pole dance instructor." And I look and I'm like, "Oh, where's your wife?" And she's literally over on this couch with the rest of this party that they're with, making out with this other guy. And I'm
Oh,
like, "Wait, that's your wife? She's kissing another guy." He goes, "Oh, I know him. He's one of my best friends." And I was like, "Okay, what is happening right now?" And I didn't realize the swinger community in Minnesota runs deep.
oh
Like,
shit.
yes. And so two occasions. One, so two of the couples, the one girl that was kissing the other one's husband, they like do a lot of stuff together. They'll like travel together, and they must like then have sex all together. So
Yeah.
anyway, they hired me to come to the house and teach the girls a lap dance for 2 hours. And so they had like, I taught them how to break everything down, how to do the da-da-da. Then the guys came home from the bar when they texted them and said, "Okay, now you can come home." The girls had their outfits on, and they're like, "Can you stay and watch?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure. I mean, I'll sit back. Maybe I'll play the music, make sure you got everything." So they did their little dance. And I remember the one woman, she had on these crotchless fishnet tights. I was like, "Okay, girl." And then so they did their little dance. I was like, "Oh my God, you guys are so good." And the husbands were like, "Wow, this is amazing." And they're like, "Do you want to stay?" I was like, "No, I'm good. I'm going to head out." But so, and then there was another one where I got invited 2 years in a row. And this was a massive event. They actually, the swinger community there's like a club, and they bought out the entire resort.
Oh.
The entire resort were all swingers. And men couldn't go single, but women could go single. So if you're a single woman, you could go. But anyway, they were all like, "You want to stay?" And I'm like, "No, you guys have a great weekend. See you next time." But I went just to teach them exotic dance and how to give a lap dance and all that. And then I was on my way. But yeah, the swinger community in Minnesota is, I don't know if it still is, but back then it was in the early 2000s. It was going strong. So
yeah, well, and we weren't swingers. Like we didn't.
I'm just saying, there's different strokes for different folks.
Sure.
And the one couple that I said, they were married for years. Then couple that organized that huge event, those two, they were married for years. So it really is, I couldn't do it. And some people do maintain healthy, loving marriages and just love to do other things, unconventional things. And I say, good on you. Set up your rules and boundaries, and if it works, it works. So
yeah.
But anyway, I'm like you. I one and done. I need one guy.
Yeah. It's definitely, I think that some people are naturally just, I guess territorial is the word or something. Like some people just, I don't know. My husband is just so loving, and he really just, he does believe in open love, and he just thinks that the love is, I don't know. I love his perspective on it, and I just don't feel the same way. Like I can't make myself feel differently. So I think it's a really cool community, but I do think that a lot of people have a hard time with it, especially, I mean, I'm from North Carolina. I'm from the South. I don't know. I just feel like I feel like I've tried really hard to get rid of some old beliefs and traditional perspectives in general, but that's not one of them that I was able to shed.
Well, I've lived a very sexually liberated life, and when I do have a partner, I am extremely faithful. If I love you, you are the only one.
Yeah.
You are the only one, because I want to build that emotional connection, because the sex just gets better and better and better if you have that emotional safety and you can be playful. And this, I mean, it just, to build that with one person.
Yeah. Agree.
Yeah, well, I'm glad you're happy and you met a wonderful man. In terms of life lessons, I would love to wrap this up with your motto for life. Like, what would you tell someone? Like, this is how I live, this maybe consider it, or just like your motto of life.
Yeah, I know. And I feel like I already said this, but it really is to always be yourself. And I feel like that might be something that people are like, okay, yeah, sure, I hear that a lot, but I really mean it, to be yourself, and you'll find the places where people really like you and where people enjoy your energy, because there's some quote that's like, always be yourself so that people know where to find you. I think that's the quote. So like, if you're showing up in places, and whether that's online or only in words or whatever, and you're being someone else, then people aren't going to know you when you show up. And so that's always been a big thing for me. And I think it works pretty well.
You are a phenomenal woman, and I am so very grateful that you took time to chat with me.
Thank you. Thanks for having me on.
Thank you so much for tuning in. If today's episode hit you in your heart, please take a second and leave a review on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. It helps more women like you find this show, and that is exactly the point. If you're ready to stop feeling self-conscious and start feeling like yourself again, grab my free guide, Self-Conscious to Sexy in 10 Minutes. It's a 4-step reset to get yourself out of your head and back into your body feeling confident and sexy. The link is in the show notes. Go to morganbarkus.com. You can explore everything else I have to offer, including my coaching program, my mission, and how you can work with me. Come find me on Instagram at Morgan Barkus and send a DM. I love hearing from you. Until next time, stay unapologetic.